can't wait to get to school each day and wait for you to pass my way. Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Support them, and show them, Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Support them. Tell them who do you love?
Depending on which decade you grew up in, when you hear this beat drop, does it automatically bring a smile to your face or bring a sense of nostalgia? Spanning over 4 decades, this song is synonymous to R&B. It has been sampled well over 5 times. So let's take a look into the iconic song, All I Do Is Think About You, and its generational impact on R&B. If there was one group that personified the 70s, I would personally have to say it was the Jackson 5. Not only did this group launch the biggest star in the history of music, but they also had a lot of hits on their own. In 1975, the Jackson 5 released their final album under the Jackson 5 name. The lead single from the album was Forever Came Today, and even though it was mostly an uneventful single, it had a very memorable B-side single called All I Do Is Think About You, written by Michael Lovesmith and Brian Holland.
I can't wait to get to school each day.
And incorporating an R&B beat that was trailblazing for its time. All I Do was a moderate success on the charts, peaking at number 50 on the Billboard Hot Songs Singles chart. However, this R&B beat was different. It had more similarities with contemporary R&B that became popular in the late 80s and early 90s, instead of the funky soul music that was common in the 70s. Now, for a while after the song's release, it sort of faded into obscurity. The only people who really remembered the song were fans of soul music in the 70s and die-hard fans of the Jackson 5. It seemed like the song was going to be forgotten, but in 1990, it came back with a bang. An R&B group called Troop released a cover of the Jackson 5 classic.
I can't wait to get to school each day and wait for you to pass.
Troop had already made a name for themselves by covering numerous underrated R&B hits, along with some original hits as well, but none of them would come close to the success of their cover of All I Do. It became an instant radio hit with listeners demanding it on repeat. If you are an R&B fan in the early 90s, there's no chance that you haven't heard Troop's version of this song. Of course, Troop modernized the song quite a bit, but they still managed to retain the same Jackson 5 charm that we all know and love. It felt like an authentic original song, not just any old cover. Troop's version managed to surpass the success of even the original. It peaked at number 1 on the Billboard R&B Hip Hop charts, which was the successor to the Billboard Hot Soul Singles chart that the Jackson 5 version peaked at. Troop managed to single-handedly revitalize the song and introduce it to a newer generation who would have never otherwise heard the song. Despite it being ahead of its time, many people expected Troop to be nominated by the Grammys that year for the single, but they were snubbed, likely because it was a cover instead of original song. But Troop's version was not the last time that this song would be covered. In 2002, an up-and-coming child singer by the name of Little Corey covered this song featured Michael Jackson on his first album.
All I do is think of you, being right, that's all I do. I can't.
But unfortunately, the album ended up being a massive failure, and Little Corey failed to make any sort of impact on the mainstream music. Fast forward to 2005, where P. Diddy is in the realm of a new budding R&B boy group. To introduce B5 to the teen market, they chose to cover All I Do.
I can't wait to get to school each day.
Which was very appropriate for their age. Now, armed with their first single, the group took over female teen hearts everywhere. The single itself didn't chart, but the album that it was on managed to reach number 15 on the Billboard R&B charts. Their version of All I Do also got significant airplay on Radio Disney and BET, which made it popular amongst young and urban listeners. All I Do was also sampled on Jay Dilla's Donuts album on a track titled Time in 2006.
Okay. There comes a time.
And even though though Time wasn't released as a single, it still undoubtedly kept the song relevant. All I Do is definitely an underrated R&B hit that has impacted the R&B world today. Well, that's a wrap for the story of this video. Let me know down below, who did you think covered the song best? And let me know, who do you love?
Who do you love?